Now this is actually the second time that I've made this video, so I'm just going to double check that it is recording. I can see it is, so we're ready to go. Okay, so what I'm going to show you today is how to make the components for your website using Canva. Now, the first thing you need to do is you need to log in, and you need to make sure you're logging into the Garibaldi School account. Okay, now I have provided you with a link on Teams so you can join our school account. Okay, so I'm just going to show you how to do it now. So if you just go to canva.com, and if you search for it on the school system and you get to the Google search results, don't click the top one that has AD next to it, because the school has an ad blocker. The one you need to click on is the one underneath it that doesn't have AD next to it. You're going to click login. You're going to click get rid of the cookies, continue with email, put your school email in, click continue. Now it might get you to do a silly captcha thing. Hopefully it's not going to ask me to do it. Oh yes it is. Okay, so just fill this in. Okay, and then instead of putting your password in, just click login with code instead. What it'll then do is it will email you your code, so you'll get an email. Okay, and then once you've got the code, you will be able to then enter it in. Okay, now you might have to do a silly another thing like this again. Oh, that's not a traffic light. Okay, enter the code in and it'll let you log in. Okay, so once you get onto Canva and you're logged in, you'll see it looks like this. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set up our website banner. Now this website banner is going to be the width of our website we're going to create. Okay, so you're going to click custom size. We're going to make it 1024 pixels, make sure it's set to pixels, by 300 pixels high. Okay, click create new design. Now that's the width of our website. Okay, now whenever you use Canva, you have got templates, but we're not going to use the templates for this task. We're going to create it ourselves. Okay, now the two main areas you need are elements, which let you search for photographs and graphics, text, which allows you to add text to your graphic, and if you go down to more, okay, you can also add pixels and pixabay, so you can jump straight into when you want to search for images from their website as well. Now you can get images off Google and copy and paste them in, but my recommendation for you is to try and stick within Canva, because all of the images are royalty free and you can then use them for free. Now if you want to use a graphic that you've created in, say, vector, like a logo, you can upload it into Canva. Okay, there's my Sutherland badge that I uploaded the other day, and you can then insert them into your work. So what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to go to the elements section. I'm going to search for sea. Okay, I want to find a picture of a sea. This looks nice, this one will work well. And when you drag a picture out, there's two ways to drag it. You can drag it out into the middle and then you can resize it. Okay, or you can drag it out, and if you touch the side of your graphic, it will stretch it out so it fits your whole page. Okay, now the next thing I want to do is I'm going to add some text. So I'm going to go to the text tool. Now you can just add text like you would normally. So you've got heading text, subtitles, and body text, which is small text on a website. So if I just click this, okay, I can then move the text. I can give it a name. Okay, I can change the font style if I wish. Okay, I can make it bigger, so you can either do it the lazy way or you can just type the number in. Okay, you can change the color of the text. Okay, you can add effects to the text. And you can also, if you wish, and it might not work in this context, although it could do with a banner to be fair, you can also animate it as well. Okay, now you can also, and I'm just going to click on this, and if you want to delete anything, you literally just click on it and hit the delete key. You can also use these pre-made texts. Okay, so if you find a style that you like, so say I want to use this one, click it, or you can drag it out, and then if you double click the text, you can edit it. Okay, and you can also, I'm going to put a little graphic icon for our logo, so I'm going to go into this and I'm going to search for surfer. Okay, I'm going to go to graphics. I'm going to find a cool image of a surfer, and you can also drag that out. Okay, now you might decide that you want, at the moment you can see my text is on top of the image, you might decide that you wanted to put an image on top or behind one of your images. So if you click on the image you want to edit, and if you go up to position up here, and then you go to, you can go forward or you can go back, you can change the order. You can also align where the image appears on the page. Okay, so center, top, bottom, right, so on and so forth, which is pretty cool. Now, I do want to show you one more thing, okay, and I'm not actually going to use this in my picture, but it's something that's really cool that it does allow us to do, okay, in Canva, which is remove backgrounds. So say I wanted to use this picture, I might drag it out, okay. Now, if I want to get rid of the background, I can then go to edit, so click on it first, make sure you've got the purple box, edit image, background remover, and just let it do its work. And it's thinking about it, it's thinking about it, it's thinking about it. Now we might be left here with this little bit of a surfboard here, which, well, it hasn't. But you can see that, I mean, obviously it's going to be mixed results depending on what you do. But if we get rid of his hand, you can see here, you can use that. It does have pretty good effects and does remove the majority of background. So when I save that now, you won't see that he's got no arm. He'll be cropped out the top. So it does look pretty cool. Okay, now, what you should have already done is you should have already set up a folder for your website. Now, if you've not done that, in your iMedia folder, in your practice folder that you should have set up last year, okay, don't save this in one of the unit folders, okay, I want you to create a folder. Now I'm going to create one in my area. So I've got one here called iMedia website. I'm just going to delete what we've got here. Okay, and I'm going to create inside, so so imagine this is my practice folder. Inside you need a folder called website, okay, and then inside your website folder, and this is to make sure we organize all of our assets within our website, we're going to create an assets folder. Okay, now all of the images we create on Canva must be stored inside this asset folder. When you create your web pages, your HTML files, which you're going to create at a later time, they need to be stored in this part of your website folder. Okay, so your website folder will have your HTML files, and in your asset folder, you will have all of your image files. Now, you could have more subfolders if you wanted to be more organized. So you could have logo folder, buttons folder, images folder, videos folder, so on and so forth. But you do need to have an organized structure for your website. Okay, so I've set those folders up now. I'm going to download my banner. So I'm going to click share. I'm going to go to download. Now, I don't need a transparent background on this image because it's solid. Okay, so I can leave that box unticked. I'm going to compress it because it's a website, so we're going to make it as small as we possibly can. I'm actually going to change it from a PNG to a JPEG because JPEGs can be compressed even further down than PNGs. Okay, so what I'm then going to do is I'm going to click download. Okay, now I did jump the gun a little bit there. What you need to do before you download is click on the three dots and make sure in Google Chrome. If you're using Microsoft Edge, and I will show you how to do this as well, you do it in a slightly different way. So in Google Chrome, click on your three dots, go to Downloads. In the Downloads box, search for Downloads. Okay, sorry, I've gone on the wrong one. Click on the three dots, go to Settings, and in the Settings box, go to Downloads. And then make sure when you get into downloads that you have this box ticked. So ask where to save each file before downloading. Now the default is for it to be unticked, and then that'll just save your work into your downloads folder. Now if you're using Microsoft Edge, it's even more important to do this, okay? Because what happens in Edge, if you don't do this, it just doesn't save your file. So click on the three dots, you'll go to Downloads, and you'll know you're in Edge because you'll see the little star and the icon up there. Go to Settings. Then you want to go to Downloads, and then you want to make sure that ask me what to do with each download is tick blue. Now like I say, in Edge, if you don't do that, every time you save it, it'll try and download it to a folder that doesn't exist and just won't download. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my work again. Okay, so I'm going to click download. Just do it again. Download. Set it to JPEG. Okay, only use PNG if you're going to need a transparent background. Okay, going to click download. It's going to ask me where I want to save it. So I'm going to go into the folder that I've just created. So in my website folder, in my asset folder, and I'm going to call it banner because this is our banner image. Okay, so I'm going to click save. And that's now there ready for me to use in my website. So now what I'm going to do in Canva is I'm going to go back to home. I'm going to go to custom size again. Now we're going to have 4 buttons on our website. Now because our website is 1024 pixels wide, our buttons are going to each be 256 pixels wide. Okay, because by doing that, 256 times 4 is 1024. Okay, now we have to set it to 40 pixels high. Okay, now that's because that's the smallest height it allows us to set in Canva. Okay, so I'm going to click create new design. We've now got our button area set up. Okay, and what I want to do is I want to create some buttons. Now I'm going to use, let's get a nice square. I'm going to use this for my button. Okay, so I'm going to stretch it out, and I will be saving these as PNGs. Okay, and the reason is, I wonder if it'll let me stretch out how I want it to be. Why won't it let me? Okay, I'm going to change this slightly because what I want is I want to be able to what I want to be able to do is get an image that's going to go across the full length. Okay, so I'm going to find, let's go for, and I'm just searching through because what I want to be able to do is I want to be able to get a shape so I can get it to go across the full screen. So that's fine. So I've gone on to shapes here. I want one that's going to work for me. Right, that's good. So with these shapes, I can actually stretch it so I can get it to do what I want, which is excellent. So I'm going to stretch this for the full line. And the only bit that's going to actually be transparent is this little corner, but it'll just give us a nice effect when we come to use it. I'm going to change the color. So I'm doing it for surf, so let's do okay, that looks good. Okay, and then I'm going to add some text to my button. Okay, and I'm going to let's keep our buttons nice and cool, nice and savvy. Choose a nice font stand. There are hundreds for you to use. Okay, And what's great about Canva, it actually saves you your favourite ones there, so they're always there for you to get. Okay, and I'm going to make the text bigger. That works nicely for me. And align it so it's in the centre. So remember, you can just go position, center, and get it perfectly in the middle. Okay, now at this point, what I want to do, for each button, we're going to have 4 buttons. For each button there's 2 states. So there's the normal state where the mouse isn't anywhere near it, and then there's the rollover state when the mouse is over the top of it. So to do this, it's really easy. You need to go down to this bit, and if it's hidden on your screen, just click on the arrow to bring it up, hover on it, and just go 3 dots, duplicate. Now I'm going to, on this, give it a name. So I'm going to call this, and this is important because when you save the files, this is what it'll save it as. So that one's going to be called home button. Now this one is going to be called about_btn. And remember, we don't do spaces when we do any files on a website. We always use an underscore instead of a space. So that's going to be about, duplicate. Okay, this one is going to be called video. And this naming them is the file name when we save it. So do make sure that you're doing this part here. It's important. So this one's going to be called video. Okay, and then we're going to duplicate it again. And this one is going to be called contact. Okay. Now we've got our 4 normal buttons. So these are the buttons that are there when the mouse isn't rolled or isn't rolling over it. We then need to add our other buttons, so what we call our rollover buttons. So it's really easy to do. I'm going to do it on this one just because it's easier. So duplicate. Okay, this is going to be home. Okay, and what I want to do is I'm going to change this button to be, so it's this one we want to change, and I want it to change to, oh sorry, not the text, so I meant to click on this. So it's click on the square, and then it's the middle color we want to change, so this one. So I'm going to make it darker blue. No, I'm not. You can't see the text, so I'm going to do the other way. That works. Okay, so we'll do it. That's going to be our rollover, and then what I want to do is I need to change the file name, so we're going to call it home button, but I'm going to add to the end of it R0, and that just stands for rollover. Okay, and then going to duplicate it again. This one's going to be, because we need one for each of these, so this one's going to be the about one, and then going to duplicate it again. This one is going to be the video page, and then going to duplicate it again, and this one is going to be the contact page. And then what I need to obviously do is click on each one and just change the text. So that's going to be about, that one's going to be, you double click it, it selects it all. That one's going to be video, and then this one is going to be contact. Okay, so if I just show you there, we've got all of our file names correctly added in, and we've got all of our buttons, and for each one, so there's our normal home, there's our rollover home, there's our about home, there's our about home. Now what we need to do is we need to get these buttons into our asset folder. So what we need to do, same as before, we're going to go to share. Now I want to use a transparent background this time, so I'm going to go to download. Make sure you set it to PNG. Make sure you tick the box that is transparent. I am going to compress it because it's for a website. We want it as small as possible. And then I'm going to click download. Now, it's going to ask you where to save it. You need to save it into your asset folder. Okay, let me see. Here it goes. So make sure you've gone into the same as before. So go into your website folder. Go inside your asset folder. I'm going to call this, instead of home, I'm going to call it buttons. And remember, always lowercase, don't use capital letters on websites. Okay, so we're going to click save. Okay, I'm going to go inside the folder that I've created. Let's go to where mine is. Remember, you should have this in your iMedia practice folder. Okay, there it is. There it is. There it is. And then I've got a zip file called buttons. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on it. It might get this warning, just click OK. And then I'm going to go extract all. Okay, let it just extract their buttons, and all it's doing is the reason it put them in a zip file is so you can download it as one file. Okay, rather than have to download them as 8 separate files. Okay, let the computer tick away. And in here now, we've now got all of our buttons set up, so they're ready to go straight into our website. Now when you get to this point, you're now ready to go and use Dreamweaver. Okay, now it's really important when you use Dreamweaver that you're going to be using some YouTube tutorials. Make sure that when you open Dreamweaver, the first thing you do is you define the site by, in Dreamweaver, go in Site, New Site, and then point it to this website folder. And then once you've done that, in Dreamweaver, go to Windows up there, go to Properties, and make sure you've got the Properties bar at the bottom of the screen in Dreamweaver. Okay, and then follow the YouTube videos, which they'll also show you how to set that up, but it's really important you do that bit. Okay.